I don't think the average normal person in the U.S. necessarily knows it's the Federal Reserve and the money printing that's causing them pain. But there's probably nobody in this country that isn't feeling pain from inflation.
Of course.
I mean, unless you're a gazillionaire and you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Lawrence kicks off the conversation by highlighting one of Bitcoin's most striking features, its scarcity. Unlike traditional commodities like gold, wheat, or oil, Bitcoin operates on a fixed supply of 21 million coins. This scarcity, combined with its algorithmically programmed nature, sets Bitcoin apart from any other commodity in existence. Lawrence emphasizes that Bitcoin's price isn't subject to the usual supply-demand dynamics seen in traditional markets. Instead, its value proposition lies in its immutable scarcity, paving the way for price appreciation regardless of external factors. Delving deeper, Lawrence sheds light on Bitcoin's revolutionary potential to empower individuals with sovereign money. In a world where governments wield control over fiat currencies, Bitcoin emerges as a beacon of financial freedom. Lawrence articulates how Bitcoin serves as a store of value, offering individuals protection against inflation and confiscation. With its decentralized nature and cryptographic security, Bitcoin grants individuals unparalleled control over their wealth, free from government intervention or manipulation.
I think is really very powerful and important to understand is that if you think Bitcoin is a commodity, and one coin's the same as the next, they are all the same. There are 21 million of them. Although they say they're rare or they're rare sats. I'm not a big fan of rare sats or whatever. To me, a sat's a sat. If you look at all other commodities in the world, gold, wheat, oil, sugar, you name it, any commodity, the laws, the way the world works is such that you say, I'm going to push the price of this up. Well, guess what? Producers are going to respond and make more of it.
Yes, exactly.
High oil price, drill for more oil.
Yes.
High gold price, open more gold mines. High sugar price, plant more sugar cane. Okay? This is the only commodity, this is what's so unique about it. It's the only commodity in the world where the price doesn't matter. There are 21 million, algorithmically programmed, never changing.
Yeah.
So the price can be 100,000, it can be 1 million, it can be 10 million.
Right.
I think it will be all of those things over time.
That's right.
And yet there's no supply change.
That's right.
So it's really, I think the difficulty, and this is why Saylor says all your models are broken. The difficulty a lot of people have in getting their heads around this thing is they've never really seen anything like this before.
That's right.
Well, it gives power back to the citizens. I mean, it's sovereign money for an individual that the government can't control or confiscate. And they may want to, but if you've got your 12 words, your 24 words, subject unless they torture you or threaten to throw you in jail, they can't steal your money, and through the theft of inflation. So that's really the primary use case. I mean, store of value. Clean digital property is what Bitcoin is, and it's the first of its kind, and it's the leading one. And I don't see it ever being supplanted or replaced. And so this is a way for an individual to protect themselves from consistent monetary debasement. It's actually a bit more than that, though, too, because it's got that quantity, which will be very valuable as the government continues to behave irresponsibly. Lay over that, it's also got an adoption curve, right? Which is a beautiful thing, which is to say there are 8 billion people, 21 million Bitcoins. I mean, there are 54 million millionaires and 21 million. Every millionaire in the world can't even have half a coin.
Right.
So if you have half a coin today, you're by definition at least a millionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. In future purchasing power terms, right? Yeah. And more realistically, maybe a couple 100 million people have some Bitcoin today and realize it's a superior form of money. The other 8 billion are going to come to that conclusion. And as they do, they're going to want some, and they're going to pay you more for what you already hold. Right. So it's a little bit of a, get in early and beat the rush. Yeah. Kind of approach to the problem. And so this adoption curve, in my opinion, is going to take it from today's price to multiples of today's price. I mean, it's, if you kind of look at it historically, it's kind of tended to do a power law or to go to the 10th power, every 6-7 years, something like that. So it was, $700, then it was $7,000, now it's $70,000. I mean, I fully expect that, 10 years from now it'll be $700,000, and 10 years after that'll be $7 million. Yeah. I mean, and it could actually even go faster, because I also think we're a little bit close to the tipping point, to the,
Right.
where everyone's becoming aware of it.
Yes.
And when that happens, it could go quite quickly, in my opinion. And notably getting progressively worse,
Of course.
in a compound fashion.
How could it not?
Yeah, how could
Yeah.
it not? And here we are, where it's kind of like, light is dawning on Marblehead. I mean, everybody is starting to realize. I mean, I don't think the average normal person in the U.S. necessarily knows it's the Federal Reserve and the money printing that's causing them pain. But there's probably nobody in this country that isn't feeling pain from inflation.
Of course.
I mean, unless you're a gazillionaire and you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But every family in this country is strained as a result of the inflation that we've suffered through, and it's getting worse.
The discussion turns to Bitcoin's adoption curve, a key driver of its value proposition. Lawrence outlines how Bitcoin's limited supply and increasing demand fuel a powerful adoption cycle. With only 21 million coins available and a growing global population, the scarcity premium of Bitcoin continues to rise. Lawrence illustrates how even owning a fraction of a Bitcoin positions individuals as millionaires in future purchasing power terms. As awareness of Bitcoin spreads, its adoption curve is poised to drive exponential price growth, offering early adopters significant upside potential.
When we have a very serious inflation event, maybe even going so far as hyperinflation, I've been told not to use that word by some high-level people in this whole space, but we could go there. When we have that kind of event, I mean, I think people are going to realize that it didn't just happen, out of the blue. I mean, it wasn't ex nihilo that we just, we had inflation. Well, no, the government did this to you. And the thing is, I mean, it's interesting because Americans are sheltered, right? The last inflation we had was, the Continental in 1789. Okay. We had a little bit of inflation with the greenback and the Civil War, but we've had a relatively stable currency. You know who gets this are people from other countries.
Of course.
You travel, particularly in South America. But I mean Hungary and
the global South,
Russia,
really.
and really anywhere in the world, and they understand. I mean, the Chinese understand. They had hyperinflation, several of them. So it's Americans who are kind of sheltered and kind of have had a relatively calm monetary existence, and who until recently, generally speaking, trusted their government. I mean, I'm writing my quarterly report now. One of the charts I have in there, which I think is a really fabulous chart, is that now it's 80% of the country does not trust the government, basically does not trust the government.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? And I thought, well, who are the other 20%?
Wow.
They work for the government. Right? So
that's
isn't
so
that interesting? It's a great chart. I pulled it out of the Wall Street Journal. If you knew that everything you earned wasn't going to be inflated away, if you knew you could save solidly and that savings would hold its value, how wouldn't your life be different? How would you feel different and better if you knew that as you got more productive and you figured out how to do more things, you were going to earn a greater income, but all the things you wanted cost the same price because there was no inflation? Wouldn't that be a much better world for you? And I think most people can think that through and they go, yeah, I get that. That would be true. I say, okay, well, that applies at scale.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's not just you, it's everybody. And the fact that you can't do that is because some people have perverted the system to their benefit. And the other chart I tend to show, so that's the carrot is, look, your life would be better if money were sound. And most people get that. They understand. Then I say, let me tell you something. There's some people whose lives are a lot better. They're called quintillionaires. Okay? And they're better because they've got a system set up that benefits them at your expense and at the expense of everybody else. I mean, I like to say, think of what's happened since in the early 70s when the microchip got invented. Think of the progress we've had. I mean, just, it's friggin' stunning. I mean, we've got these computers in our pockets. We can call anybody. It costs. I mean, I saw all of that take place in my lifetime. It's amazing. We should be if the value of all that had been translated into our lives, we should be working 30-hour work weeks,
right,
and have the rest as leisure.
Right.
And the reason that has not occurred is that the people at the top of the pyramid have sucked off all of that goddamn benefit for themselves.
Right.
And that's why they're worth billions and billions and billions of dollars, and you're still struggling to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And there's several charts that show this, that, you know, the 1% in this world control half of the wealth.
Yeah.
And it's
crazy.
just, and that has only, and by the way, they don't have your best interest at heart. And they want to do things that protect them and that hurt you. And so, you know, we need to stop that. And the way to stop that is to fix the money that prevents their corruption. And their corruption occurs because I mean, think about it. You know, then I go into, okay, if I told you you could borrow money at 0% and you could get a 10% rate of return on that money that you had borrowed, how long do you think it would take you to get rich? The answer is not very long.
Right.
You know, especially if you had the credit ability to borrow a lot of it.
Yeah.
Which, and by the way, not only borrow a lot of it, but know, you know, like Lloyd Blankfein, who ran Goldman Sachs, know that if you failed, the government was going to bail you out.
That's right.
Right?
Right. Can't lose.
It was heads you win, you know, tails the other side loses. I mean, you could not lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Which is how, you know, Jamie Dimon became a billionaire, because he printed himself tons and tons of stock options when JP Morgan was down in the dumps, when he knew the Fed was going to bail that bank out, send them money, and let it become extremely valuable. And then that bank was able to borrow at 0% and lend it out at 10% and just compound and, you know, wash, rinse, repeat. And so, you know, people say, well, you know, how come I'm struggling so much? I mean, and so in a sense, this is a little bit of a class warfare issue. You are struggling so much because the system has been tilted against you.
Yeah.
And these billionaires are robbing you blind. I mean, you are paying more for steak and gasoline.
Yeah.
They can afford to pay that too because they've got billions. And they are grabbing the fruits of your labor because they can borrow money cheap and lend it dear.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You want to borrow money? Sorry, you know, 20% on your credit card, pal.
Right.
You can't get 50 basis points. I mean, you know, I hate Elizabeth Warren. I think she's just an evil person. There's one thing she said that I actually agree with. Back when she was talking about the student loan market and the banker bailouts, she said, how come we are charging students 6% on their debt and bankers can borrow at 50 basis points? Fair point.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, students are trying to borrow money to improve their education, to
Right.
contribute to society. They got to pay 6%.
Yeah.
You're a Wall Street bank.
Right.
Fed will give you money at 50 bips.
Right.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a broken system. And by the way, you know, it runs through that. Then those banks lobby DC. DC passes Citizens United, which says that corporations are people. You know, I mean, and it just goes on and on and on. You know, I mean, how do you know it's broken? Our Congress people and representatives show up in Washington, D.C. with modest wealth. They all leave multi-millionaires. You know, I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's blatantly broken.
Lawrence confronts the systemic economic injustices perpetuated by traditional financial systems. He exposes how the current system benefits a select few at the expense of the majority, exacerbating wealth inequality. By contrast, Bitcoin offers a pathway to economic fairness and empowerment. Lawrence highlights the disparity between the privileged few who profit from cheap credit and the ordinary individuals burdened by high interest rates and inflation. Bitcoin, with its transparent and egalitarian principles, stands as a beacon of hope for those disenfranchised by the current financial system. Please like and subscribe my channel.